All right, let's dive right into this explainer covering what is easily one of the most extreme human habitats on the entire planet. We're heading to Oymyakon, Russia. It's a remote mountain-ringed village home to a really tight-knit community of about 800 people. Now, because it sits down in a basin, the wind actually rarely blows here. So instead of getting those raging cinematic blizzards, the bone-chilling cold just sort of settles in and stays. And let me tell you, it dictates every single action of your day, testing human resilience in ways most of us literally cannot even fathom. Just walking outside your front door is an immediate battle for survival.
Just imagine stepping outside and the thermometer plummets to a mind-boggling minus 71.2 degrees Celsius. At these extreme temperatures, your margin for error is essentially zero. Hanging out outdoors for just a few extra minutes without the right protection, that can easily cost you a limb or even your life. We're not just talking about needing a thick jacket here. This is an environment that is actively hostile to your biology.
You know that distinct, crispy sound of dry grass rustling in the wind? Well, think about that sensory detail for a second. In Oymyakon, that is the literal sound of warm human breath instantly turning into microscopic ice crystals the absolute second it hits the freezing air. It's a profound detail, right? It just constantly reminds you of how entirely alien this environment is compared to our normal everyday lives.
Section 1. The coldest place on Earth.
Section 2. What extreme cold does.
So let's look at what actually happens to your body in this kind of profound cold, because the biological cascade of frostbite is honestly terrifying. Basically, the cold instantly shrinks your blood vessels, which completely cuts off circulation. Without that internal warmth, the water inside your individual cells freezes into ice crystals. Those crystals then cause the cells to literally rupture, triggering stabbing pain and, very quickly, permanent tissue death. Out here, this whole process can begin destroying the tissue on an exposed nose in just 15 minutes.
And here's the real kicker: the sheer shock to your system. Residents are routinely facing a temperature drop of over 90 degrees Celsius just by crossing their threshold. You're leaving a cozy 30-degree heated home and stepping directly into minus 60-degree peril. The physical toll of that extreme transition is just immense.
So, how do you even survive that? Well, you literally have to armor up. We're talking about piling on more than 20 layers of clothing, which adds nearly 14 kilos of dead weight to every single step you take. They rely super heavily on coats, boots, and gloves made from really thick reindeer fur just to trap body heat. And the crazy part? Even with all that intense preparation, the moment you step outside, your eyelashes are still going to freeze solid in seconds.
Section 3. Building on frozen ground.
Okay, so moving to the big picture. How on earth do you build a cozy, warm house on top of an eternally frozen wasteland? The biggest hurdle is the ground itself. Oymyakon sits on permafrost, which is a layer of frozen earth reaching hundreds of meters deep. Because that ground never, ever thaws, standard concrete foundations would just completely fail. So builders have to lay these massive, thick wooden beams right directly on the surface to create a flat, stable base before they can even think about building the actual house upward. And once that foundation is set, the walls have to be practically impenetrable. To keep the precious heat from the village's central coal-powered boilers safely inside, every single wall is heavily engineered with 7 dense layers of materials. They are stacking wood, basalt wool, plaster, mesh, and foam insulation, the whole shebang, and they cap it all off with triple glazed windows. Every single inch is optimized to fight off that cold. But here's a brilliantly quirky detail. The entrance rooms of these houses, they're intentionally left completely unheated. This serves 2 absolutely vital purposes. First off, it acts as a thermal buffer zone against the freezing temperatures outside. But second, it acts as a massive natural walk-in freezer. Residents use these freezing entryways, which are often literally coated in interior snow and ice, to store their daily milk and meat. Talk about using your environment. Section 4. Daily life without plumbing. Now, if you thought staying warm was a chore, imagine trying to go about your day without a single drop of running water. Because of the sub-zero climate, the entire village operates totally off the grid in terms of plumbing. If they tried to install underground pipes, the water inside would freeze up almost instantly. So securing clean water for drinking, cooking, or bathing is this exhausting, highly physical ordeal. Locals have to trek to the frozen river, carve out thick blocks of ice with a chisel, haul them onto a sled, and physically drag them all the way back home. Just getting ready for a weekly bath means melting ice near a stove for 4 to 5 hours.
And yep, that total lack of plumbing means exactly what you think it means for sanitation. It's completely pushed outdoors. There are 0 indoor toilets. Instead, outhouses are built in these unheated cabins out in the garden. Because human waste instantly freezes the second it hits the air, it literally accumulates into frozen columns that can reach up to 2 meters high before they have to be manually broken down. It completely turns a simple bathroom break into a high-speed survival mission where you have to gear up in heavy layers just to survive the trip.
Of course, it's not just human biology that struggles out here. Modern machinery gets totally wrecked by the freeze. If a car is left outside with the engine turned off, it freezes completely solid. The metal, the oil, the diesel fuel, even the air molecules inside the tires shrink until they're rock hard. To get it running again, you've got to wrap the whole vehicle in a custom insulated blanket and blast a jet heater underneath it for 3 to 4 hours just to coax the engine back to life. Insane, right?
Section 5. Animal Survival and Diet.
Let's pivot slightly and look at how nature itself adapts, because human survival out here is deeply intertwined with the animals that can endure these extremes. Take the local livestock. Yakut cattle are hardy, but they still need a ton of special care. Farmers literally have to wrap their sensitive udders in cloth to prevent frostbite and herd them to specific underground spring-fed rivers that don't freeze over just to get them a drink. On the flip side, the Yakutian horses are like little evolutionary marvels. They're short, puffy, packed with a super high fat content, and have these tall hooves to stand on the ice. They can effortlessly graze outdoors in -70 degrees, day and night, without a care in the world. And those animals are absolutely vital because farming any sort of crops on permafrost is just biologically impossible. You aren't going to find locally grown fruits or vegetables here. Instead, the diet is almost entirely composed of high-fat, vitamin-rich animal products. To get those essential nutrients, locals rely heavily on staples like raw, frozen horse meat and liver. They also eat raw, freshly caught river fish that basically flash freezes the second it leaves the water. They just slice it thin and eat it completely frozen, almost like an ice pop.
Section 6. Coexisting with the ice. You know, to truly survive in Oymyakon, you need way more than just a well-insulated house and some reindeer clothes. You actually need an entirely different psychological mindset. Many locals, especially the hunters, who spend their days out in the frozen wilderness, still practice ancient shamanic beliefs. Before they eat, they'll offer small portions of their catch right back to the fire spirit. It's this deep, ingrained recognition that they are entirely at nature's mercy. They know the environment provides, but they also know it demands absolute respect in return. Because the unforgiving reality of this landscape is absolute. The local mantra is chillingly simple. If you don't move, you die. Make just one mistake, step onto a bad patch of thin ice, or stand still for just a bit too long, and you will freeze, perfectly still, exactly like the wild wolves and hares they occasionally find trapped in the snow. And that really brings us to the core takeaway from today's explainer. The incredible story of Oymyakon shows us that true resilience, like the kind we see in the Yakut people, isn't about fighting the cold or trying to arrogantly conquer the elements. It's about mastering the art of enduring it. It's about respecting the hard boundaries nature has drawn and figuring out how to beautifully thrive right within them. So, what do you think? Could you handle the coldest village on Earth? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.